Good morning, students. Welcome to today's class. In today's class, we'll continue with the module 5. Okay. So, in this, we are going to learn about the advanced JavaScript and the jQuery. In case of a advanced JavaScript, there are certain concepts are there which will help us in understanding basically the object-oriented programming, how we can incorporate the object-oriented programming. We will see that is done with the JavaScript, even though it is not as good as the other some of the other languages that are available, but most of the properties of the object oriented programming have been implemented. We will see how those are implemented. We are going to see what is JavaScript pseudo classes, then jQuery, that's a platform, JavaScript platform that is available. We will see how jQuery will help us. Some of these problems are like solved by, there are many JavaScript platforms are available which can be used. One of the most popular JavaScript platform is a jQuery. We'll see how we can use the jQuery. Then we will learn about the Ajax, then asynchronous file transmission, animation, then backbone, MVC frameworks. Object-oriented design. JavaScript has no formal class mechanism. So unlike other languages like Python or Java, there is no formal class mechanism. Many common features of object-oriented programming, such as inheritance, and even simple methods must be arrived through these non-intuitive means. Whatever the features an object-oriented programming has, like inheritance and polymorphism and encapsulation, all those things are available here, but excuse me, but only the problem is the way they are. You are going to see the examples. The way they are implemented is not very intuitive, right? It is non-intuitive. Like if you have a knowledge of how using object oriented programming, that really might not help here, because the way the these concepts are implemented in JavaScript are very non-intuitive, and you have to remember how that thing should be done. These strange techniques give JavaScript a bad reputation, but can easily be mastered. Okay, so in general, if you look these techniques at the beginning, you will feel the kind of implementation that JavaScript gives for the object-oriented concepts. It looks like a very strange, and that is what the like a bad reputation for the JavaScript. But over a period, when you start working on the JavaScript, then you will master in using those concepts. Using object literals, an object can be instantiated using a object literal. And what is a object literal? Object literal is a what? It is a list of key value pairs with the colons between the key and value, with commas separating the key value pairs. Object literals are nothing but what? It's a key value pairs with a colon between them, key and the colon, and we will have the value. Such key many key value pairs will be there, separated by the a comma. That is the object literal. Object literal, also known as plain objects in Java query. Okay, in jQuery, sorry. In case of a jQuery, it is called as a plain objects. This is the example how we can create the object. You can see here, Java, in Java we are going to create the variable using the keyword var, and this is the variable is equal to, this is the object. So we are creating a dice object. Okay, having a six face, so it is a dice and having a red color. So define six faced dice with a red color. You remember dice, right? You used it for playing. Dice has six faces, and on each face we have a number. okay, or the dots, which is representative of a number 1 to 6 numbers, and that dice can come in a any color. So that object is represented like this. So we have a pair of curly braces, semicolon ends with a semicolon. Inside this we have the attribute, the key and the value. Color is the key, and this FF0000 is the hexadecimal value of representation of the color. It's a RGB. FF shows we have ones for the red, so the 0 GB is 0, so it is a representative of a red color. Then faces is a key, and we have a array is having 6 values, 1 to 6. The element can be accessed using a dot notation. Similar to, once you have the object, you can access the element of that object. What elements we have? We have color and faces. We can access that using a dot. Now if I say one die, that is the this particular object, one die dot color, which is nothing but this color, this attribute, we are resetting that. Okay, RGB, this will become blue. Okay, for instance, could change the color to blue by writing this: one die dot color is equal to hexadecimal number inside the two double quotes 0000FF, followed by the semicolon. Emulate classes with a function. What is the meaning of a emulate? Here it is like a we are trying to simulate. Emulate is a very close word for the simulate. You are finding a good match, okay, a good or a better match for creating a classes. In case of a JavaScript, it is possible to mimic many features of classes by using functions to encapsulate variable and methods together. Now you can see here, this is how we are doing the encapsulation. Very simple: die pseudo class definition as a function. So we have the class definition as a function. So don't get confused by this function. This is nothing but a class. It's a class definition in case of a JavaScript. So it says function, then die is the name of the class, and this is the you can think it as a like a constructor. During the constructor, you pass the values, right? That the value you are passing, this value is assigned to this dot color is equal to COL. This is what representative of, it points to the current object. Then this dot faces is equal to, we have a array with 6 values followed by the semicolon. Now this class definition, it has two attributes, color and faces. It is possible to, okay, now once we have this class, then how to create the object? Now this is a class definition. How to create object? Variable one die is equal to this structure is very similar to other object oriented language, where you use the keyword new space die, that is the name of the class, and you will pass the color. In this case, you are passing the color of blue. Now this step will instantiate a object, a die object having a color of a blue, and it will be assigned to this particular variable one die. One technique for adding a method inside of a class definition is by assigning an anonymous function to a variable. Now we have seen the attributes. We have the attributes. How to add the method? Normally, what class will have attributes as well as the methods or functions. So how to add methods in case of a JavaScript class? This is the class definition, that is function. This is the name of the class, and we have two attributes, color and faces. Now we have to create the method. How to create the method? Using the anonymous function. What is anonymous function? Anonymous functions are the function which will not have the name, right? We already saw this in the when we looked into the JavaScript. They will not have the a name. Now you can have the method in case of a JavaScript as this dot random role. So this is the current object, and random role is the name of the method this particular class has, and is equal to Anonymous function. This is how we define the anonymous function. Function with a empty function keyword with a empty brackets, opening curly brace, and this is the end of the function. Inside the function, what you are doing, I have a variable called random number is equal to math.floor. So floor will take the lower value. If you are aware, the floor and a ceil, those are the two functions that is available in every mathematical library, whether it is a C programming, Java programming. The floor method, you will get the lower integer value, and inside what we are doing, math dot random. So random will get a random number into this dot faces dot length. What is that? This dot faces means this dot faces dot length. This has a array has a property called a length, which will give the size of the array. So in this case it is 6. You are going to multiply 6 with a random number, and we are going to add 1 to that, and that random number will be saved here. Means this particular function is mimicking a dice. When you throw the dice, every time you get a number, isn't it? We are getting that number using the random method. So what value the random method will have? Random method will have a value greater than 0 and less than 1, okay, or very close to 1. You can see it can have a value of 0.001. It depends on the precision, and the highest number is 0.999. Let us assume it is very close to 0. This multiplication, 0 into 6, 0 plus 1, so it will have a number 1. And what we are returning, return faces random num minus 1. So we took an example, random number is 0, 0 minus sorry, here we get it as 1. This will become 0, this will become 1. Random number is 1, 1 minus 1. What you are going to return? 1 minus 1 is 0. The value which is present at the 0 index level, that is 1, you are going to return 1. Let us say this is very close to 1.999. So it will is multiplied with 6. It will get very close to 5.999. We are going to get the floor. So 5 plus 1, sorry, before getting the floor, you are going to add, right? 5.99 plus 1, 6.99. Floor, you are going to get 6. 6 minus 1, 5. So this is the 6 value you are going to return. And in between, whatever the value we get, we are going to give these, return these values. So this class is a representative of a dice. Whenever you call this method random, it is like you are throwing the dice. You are going to get a one value back. Now this is the class implementation in case of a JavaScript. This is the name of the class. These are the methods, sorry, these are the attributes that are available, color and faces, and they are assigned with certain values. And I have a method. What is the method? Random roll is a method which is implemented using a anonymous function. This is okay. We have the same thing here. We have created a object. You can say variable one die is equal to new, and I'm passing the value 0000 ff, which is a representation of the blue. Now one object is created with the color property as blue, and faces this array. And once we have that object, we can call the method. So how to call the method? Again, we use the dot console.log. So I'm going to log this particular information. One die, that is the this object, dot random roll. So I'm calling this method random roll. You can observe I'm giving a parenthesis here, parenthesis random roll. It's going to call this method, and whatever the value is returned, so either it will return 1 to 6, any of the values that you're concatenating with the was rolled. Let us say we get 6. What is written into the log is 6 was rolled. Okay. These are the objects that are created using the this particular class definition. This is the class definition, and we have created two objects x and y. Defining methods as we have shown is not a memory efficient approach because each inline method is redefined for each new object. So what is the problem with this kind of a definition is every object will have its own method implemented. So you can see here there is a object x. It has some color. These are the faces, and it has the implementation of the function inside it. Similarly, I have one more object. It has its own implementation, and it is not memory efficient approach. How to make it as a memory efficient approach? Using the prototypes. Prototypes can be used where a single copy of the function will be utilized rather than creating multiple copy for each of the object. A better approach is to define the method just once using the prototype of a class. So prototype is a actually a object. Every object in case of a JavaScript is a like a it is a it is inherited from the prototype object. Prototypes are used to make JavaScript behave more like an object-oriented language. The prototype properties and methods are defined once for all instances of an object. So if you use the prototypes, what will happen is whatever the properties or methods you are going to define, it is going to be defined once, only once for every object. That is the normal behavior of the object oriented programming, right? We have a class. When we create the object of the class, we are not going to have the copy of the methods, right? It is going to refer to the same method. In order to have like that, we can use the prototypes. Every object has a prototype. Now you can see using the prototype how we can redefine. You can see here, this is the beginning of the die class, this is the start, this is the end class, and I have one function here, right? This function is a representative of the class die, and two attributes are there. Then I am adding a prototype. Okay, die dot prototype, this is the name of the class. I told you object, every object has a prototype. So die dot prototype dot random role, that is the name of the function, is equal to function, and the implementation is the same. This is the end. This is the end of the class. This is the start of the die class definition. This is the end of the die class definition. Now you can see the changes. Since all instances of die share the same prototype object, the function declaration only happens one time and is shared with all die instances. Now you can see this is the die class. Okay, in the die dot prototype, I have the variables or the attributes called color and faces. Then I have one implementation of the method. Whenever we create the object, we are going to have these attributes, and this method will reference to this particular class. Similarly, this is the x object, this is the y object. You can see there is no separate implementation for each of the object, but they refer back to the same function. So that is how it will become memory efficient. More about prototypes. It should be known that every object and method in JavaScript has a prototype. As I told you, every object, whatever object you create, and the methods you create, JavaScript has a prototype in it. So basically, what a prototype is, an object from which other objects inherit. If you remember Java, like every object that you create is a is inherited from the object. Okay. In case of a JavaScript, a prototype is an object from which other objects will inherit. So every object will inherit from the prototype. The above definition sounds almost like a class in an object-oriented language, except that prototype is itself an object, not an abstraction. So normally, when we say superclasses are abstract classes. Uh, One second. Okay. So, in case of other object-oriented language, the superclass can have a abstract class, and the objects can inherit from, okay, or other classes can inherit from that abstract class. But in case of a JavaScript, every object is inherited from the prototype, but prototype is not a class, prototype is a object. That is the thing it is. The above definition sounds almost like a class in object oriented language, except that a prototype is itself an object and it is not an abstraction. In addition to using prototypes for our own pseudo classes, prototypes can enable you to extend existing classes by adding to their prototypes. So one thing is like we can use the prototypes to have a memory efficient methods, and other thing is similar to other object oriented languages, we can extend a class, right? In case of other object oriented language, we can extend the class, right? In C programming we can extend multiple classes. In Java we can extend one class. Similar to that, using prototypes we can do the uh, extending of a class, which is nothing but a inheritance, right? This is the property of the inheritance. The inheritance is can be implemented using a prototype. How to do that? Now we have a string object. If we want to extend the functionality of the string, we will extend like this. Now string dot prototype dot count chars. Okay, we are extending the string, and we are adding a property. We are adding a method called count chars, and it is implemented using a anonymous function which takes one parameter, and inside that what I have, count initially count is 0. Then using a for loop I'm going to iterate through the complete text that has been given. Initial for variable I is equal to 0, I less than this dot length. Okay, uh, uh, this dot length comma I plus plus, then this dot character at I. We are going to look for this particular character, what is the length we have got, and we will compare with this character. Here we are comparing how many times. Okay, if this comparison is given, whatever the letter we get here, whatever the character we get here, we compare whether it is present in the string. If it is present, we are going to count it. Basically what it will do is, if you provide one text, it will tell how many times a particular requested letter is present or not. So we are adding that particular method to the string class. So here you can see, uh, now any new instances of a string will have this method available to them, while existing strings will not. Okay, after adding this, whenever you create a new object of that particular string object, it will have this additional method. If it was like if you created earlier, that method will not be available for them. Here is the example. Variable HEL is equal to new string. String is the class definition, and I am passing the hello word. A new object of type string which has a count char method is created, and it is assigned to HEL. And on the console.log I'm going to write HEL. What is the HEL? HEL will display hello world. Okay, that is it will call the toString, and it will display hello world concatenation plus has concatenation HEL. This is the object dot count chars. I'm going to count L. How many times the L is present? 1, 2, 3 times. So what it will display? Hello world has. This will return 3, concatenate 3 letter else. So this is what we are going to see. Hello world has three letter else. jQuery Foundation, that is a jQuery, a library or a framework is a software that you can utilize in your own software, which provides some common implementation of standard ideas. As I told you, jQuery is a JavaScript framework or the library, and it provides some of the common implementation like using which are like readily available with the very simple coding. Some of the pain that is in present in the JavaScript has been reduced. So that is how these frameworks are becoming more popular. So instead of people writing on the pure JavaScript, they are going to use such frameworks which are built on top of the JavaScript, which will provide easy coding methods. Okay, easy coding options that will help in coding. Many developers find that once they start using a framework like jQuery, there is no going back to pure JavaScript because the framework offers so many useful shortcuts and succinct ways of doing things. There are very easy way of doing things that is given. For example, we just saw how the object oriented concepts has been implemented in case of a JavaScript. Everything is available, but the implementation is little bit confusing or little bit strange, though some of such pain points are taken care by the some of the platforms. A brief history about the jQuery. It started in August 2005. jQuery founder John Resig was looking into how to better combine CSS selectors with succinct JavaScript notations. And so that is the when it all started. Within a year, Ajax and animations were added. After whatever the jQuery platform they developed, within a year they added Ajax and animations. Additional modules, jQuery UI extension, mobile device support, all those things are added, and the jQuery is continuously getting updated and getting improved. This is you can see jQuery is very very popular. You can see this is the top 47 million sites that are available. You can see jQuery plus extension, 55% of them are using jQuery. Here, if you select top 10,000 sites, 50%. So you can see like more than half of the applications are being developed using the jQuery. jQuery is the now most popular JavaScript library currently in use, supported by the statistics from the builtwith.com. That is where we are getting these stats. How to include the jQuery? How you will include the jQuery? Link to a locally hosted version of the library. Either you can have it as a locally hosted on the server, or the another option is you can use the third-party hosting. Both has advantages and disadvantages. Whether we cannot tell having locally is advantages, having with the third party is advantages. It depends on how the organization want to have this. It depends on that. Both have advantage as well as a disadvantage. In case of a third party, approved third party, we have like a Google is there, Microsoft, and jQuery themselves. They can be used as a host, third party host. Using third party content delivery network, CDN. One second. Okay, there is a content delivery network that is available from the third party, using which we can host the jQuery. Then the advantage of that particular thing is the bandwidth of the file is offloaded to reduce the demand on your servers. Means whatever the bandwidth that is required for the jQuery will be taken over by the third party. So that is how the bandwidth gets offloaded for our on our servers. The user may already have cached the third party file and thus not have to download again, thereby reducing the total loading time. So the chances are there it is already cached on to the client, so further download may not be required. A disadvantage to third party CDN is that your jQuery will fail if the third party host fails, which is very unlikely, but it is possible. If your third party host is not available, your application will not be available. That is the one disadvantages. How to include this is the example to as a fail safe, means as a backup. If the third party is not available, then it has to use from the local. That is how it can be done. So you can see script src, this is the third party, and this is the jQuery JavaScript jQuery hyphen 1.9.1 dot min dot js. This is the one that is required in order to have the jQuery running on our system. If this third party fails, then I'm going to have it from our local server. So from the root directory where we have hosted our application, we have to have this particular JavaScript. So same JavaScript loaded into the local server. jQuery selectors. When discussing basic JavaScript, we introduce the get element by ID and query selector function in JavaScript. If you remember, in case of a JavaScript, how we are going to access the DOM structure, we use the method called get element by ID, and we used to provide the ID. So it will look into the DOM structure, whichever element is having that particular ID, it will get that element object. And once you get that element object, then you can access whatever inner HTML, HTML, CSS properties. Either you can access, if you want to modify, you can modify. All those things we did using the get element by ID. Although the advanced query selector methods allow selection of DOM elements based on CSS selector, it is only implemented in the newest browsers. jQuery introduces its own way to select the element. Okay, now jQuery, even though in the JavaScript we have the get element by ID, but jQuery has its own implementation of getting the element. Okay, which under the hood supports the myriad of older browsers for you. So this advantage with this is it will support many of the older browsers that will help in making sure your application will run in any kind of a older system also. If users are having the older browsers, that can be this implementation will make sure it will work. The relationship between the DOM object and the selector is so important in JavaScript programming that the pseudo clause bearing the name of the framework. Now, in case of a jQuery, this pseudo clause, okay, having the same name as the jQuery. This is the base class that is used for selecting the elements from the object. So this particular class is reserved in case of a jQuery. So why it is reserved? It is reserved for only accessing the elements of the DOM. And to further make it as very simple, because we are going to use it many times whenever we are going to modify the DOM objects, modify or access the DOM objects, frequently we will be calling that method. For example, if we are accessing the DOM elements, frequently we are going to call the get element by ID. Similarly, jQuery is the implementation or the pseudo class that is provided by the jQuery for accessing the DOM. That means what? This jQuery is going to be accessed many times. In order, because it is accessed so frequently, the jQuery has given a shortcut notation as well for the same thing. Whenever you say jQuery parenthesis, instead of that you can say a dollar and parenthesis. This is exactly same as jQuery. So using which we are going to access the DOM elements. Okay, here are the some basic selectors we have. The four basic selectors. First one is the dollar, which is representative of a shortcut notation of a jQuery, right? This jQuery representation dollar, inside the parenthesis, inside the two double quote, I have asterisk. Asterisk means what? Universal selector. It is going to match all the elements that are present in the HTML document. So all the elements will be accessed using the asterisk. Then tag. So dollar inside the parenthesis, inside the two double quotes, we are going to specify the tag. Element selector matches all elements with the given element name. So whatever the tag you are using, for example div, if you say dollar parenthesis inside the double quotes, if you say div, it is going to select all the div elements that is present in the your HTML document, and it is going to get the reference for all those elements. Then dollar inside the inside the double quotes dot class. This is a class selector. Whichever is element which is having the class element, it is going to fetch those elements. Class selector matches all the elements with the given CSS class. Whatever the class you have specified, it will be accessed. Then hash id. Okay, hash id is a id selector. So if you remember, we have a different kind of a selectors we talked about when we talked in the HTML. We can have a element, just the tag. Okay, so that is the element tag. Then class we can have, okay, that is a class selector. Then we have a id selector. How we will have the class, it is specified by dot. So it is all this was discussed in the CSS. Then if you have the hash, that is a, it is a id. It is going to select all the IDs which will match this particular ID. ID selector matches all elements with a given HTML ID attribute. We are going to see a few examples, then you will understand. So here, for example, to select single div element with the ID grab, you would write like this. So we want to select element which has a ID as grab. Variable single element is equal to dollar, which is a jQuery, then dollar grab. So it is going to look this particular thing. It is going to look the whole DOM structure, the HTML document, where element is having ID as grab. Whichever element has a ID is equal to grab, ID is equal to grab like this, that element will be accessed. To get a set of all anchor elements, a elements, the selector would be, so this will get all the anchor elements. Variable all is equal to dollar, inside the double quotes, a. Okay, so a means what? Whatever the anchor elements that are present in the HTML document, all those anchor elements reference will be stored in the all as. These selectors replace the use of the get element by ID entirely. Now you can see the get element by ID is replaced by all these selectors. So this is how we can access the elements in case of a jQuery. More CSS selectors are there. In addition to these basic selectors, you can use the other CSS selectors that were covered in the chapter 3 on CSS. We had attribute selectors, pseudo element selector, contextual selectors. So attribute, based on the what kind of a the attribute we have, what is the value for that attribute, we can select the elements, or using the pseudo element we can select, or based on the context. So context is like there are a couple of relation. You want to have a particular element and having a child another element. So that is the context. A particular element having a descendant as a another element, that is a another context. So there are 4 or 5 contexts. Based on that context, we can select the selectors. So here we have one example of a jQuery's um, selectors. Okay, how to do the selection of the elements. You can see here we have dollar ul space a colon link. Now here it is going to sorry, ul is a unordered list. Then we have the a link. It is going to access all these LIs. Okay, you can see LIs. Similarly, whenever you specify ul, it will pass through the complete HTML document. Wherever the ul is present, it will get those elements as well. So we have ul here. Okay, and then we are going to get all the LIs. Then we have dollar inside the parenthesis, inside the double quotes, hash main, and this is a contextual selector. We have to have id called as main, then the first child. Greater than symbol is representative of the a child. The first child of the element is time. First it will look for the id as main. So first it will come here, it will look for id as main, and then child time. So it is, if you see here, we have child. This particular div element has a child time. It is going to access this particular element. This time element will be accessed using this jQuery selector. Now if you notice, there are many time here inside this div. We have inside this div, I have another child div. Inside I have a time. So this time is a descendant, it is not the direct child. That is why this will access this element, which is a element having id as main, whose child is time. Okay, now next one is hash main. Means it is going to select this id is main, id is main, then inside that div. Okay, div, then paragraph, first child. Now if you see here, inside a div, inside div, this is the first child, this is the first paragraph, p colon first child, this is the first paragraph. Similarly, inside id main div, we have one more div. Okay, after that one more div, and inside div first paragraph, first child, it is going to select this. It is not going to select this one. Similarly, this one another contextual selector, id main and descendant time. So it can be child, grandchild, or great grandchild. If it is a descendant of this element, then it is going to select. So first is id main. This is the id main. Inside that descendant. So first this is a child, and this is a grandchild. It is going to select this time, this time, and this time. This is how we are going to select the elements based on the selectors. Attribute selectors we'll see in the next class.